Kia ora, everyone. I'd like to open us all with a karakia. Me karakia tātou, mauri ora kia mātou, arahina mātou ia mātou mahi, kimihia he huarahi mo te kaupapa o te mātou rangahangarau. Āwhina atu, āwhina mai. Te pou e here nei ia mātou, hui e, tai kie. Ka pai. And now I have the honour and the privilege of introducing Rebecca Hembrow, Beck, who has been a force in technology education for decades now. She is construction and senior engineering kaiako at Mount Aspiring High School in the lovely Wanaka. And it is very exciting. I've heard a lot about this project. I've seen the website, and now I get to find out more about it from you, Rebecca. So I'll stop sharing now, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. First of all, thanks for that wonderful introduction. This is actually my first webinar. Whoa! So I'm just going to treat it like anything else where I just jabber on for a while, and hopefully you guys will take something away from it. I'm actually at the office at work. I've got a 7-year-old eating spaghetti bolognese. There's people in the background. We'll just roll with it. It's a school. I've been teaching all day. I'm a full-time teacher, as the lovely Ruth just introduced me, over in Wanaka at Mount Aspiring College. Very lucky to be here, my 3rd year here. And I have been teaching for, 20 years next year. Oh God. So a lot's happening. What I want to share with you today is some work around local curriculum. Luma is the one that I've been working on for the last decade as the volunteer teacher lead, program lead. And over that time, I've built a beautiful Frankenstein, wonderful monster of a local curriculum project, but it has taken 10 years to get there. And today, what I'd love to share with you is some small, medium, and large projects. So you don't sort of see Luma as this unobtainable thing that you can't want to do tomorrow. You'll see hopefully the stepping stones in that journey. So I'm going to talk to you about some of those things, give you lots of visuals. If you're anything like me, I'm real visual, kind of need examples and visuals to kind of get me going. I've always got a pencil in my hand and a pad next to me. So I'm going to explain to you some of the stuff that I do to get local curriculum into the schools, into my classroom, to make really authentic projects that for me are engaging, makes my life easier. As a full-time, fully loaded teacher, I like to make my life easy. And when I have students in front of me that are engaged and loving the projects, see the relevance, engagement enhances. And it just so happens all the senior bosses are happy, because it turns out that achievement increases as well. And in some cases, triples and quadruples. That's kind of a lovely effect. But for my practice, I really want engaged students learning from authentic contexts. So
absolutely awesome. So you're going to share your screen with us, and
exactly
we're going to get into it.
So exactly right. So if you don't know a little bit about me, I have lots of hats that I wear at various things in my life. Can you see that screen? You haven't got all the stuff around it, have you? Or have you just got the screen itself?
We have got all the stuff around it. If you go to slideshow and share that. Or yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So this is kind of where my kind of background's from. I've got outside wee businesses. I've got lots of things that have influenced what I do. I've worked at various schools, from very low decile schools that the police officers are basically their round is the school. And I've also taught in very posh schools that have unlimited budgets. So I've sort of tried to make this work in lots of different environments. So yeah. The one thing I would encourage anybody to do, wanting to do local curriculum projects, getting outside partners and individuals, businesses, you're asking a lot of goodwill sometimes from people. And this is my currency. I give pie, just a chicken pie. I'll give you the recipe if you want. A question and answer, just let me know. It's not a family secret or anything. It's actually from Southland's, like Spates food and book, so feel free. Cards also go a long way, showing appreciation and gratitude. I think that for me as a human being, if you thank me for stuff and show respect for the time and energy I put in, I will go above and beyond for you. So those little things. And of course, I'm from Southland down here, Otago, so Spates. the amount you can get done with a box of spades is astonishing. Now, this is the curriculum links for those of you that are wanting to maybe put proposals together or sign things off with, you know, sort of, you know, senior management or justify decisions you're making. There is lots of information on the Ministry of Education around why this works, lots of learning behind that. For me, I like just to see the high impact it makes on my classes, but there is lots of background, lots of research, lots of evidence that you can get lost in if you so wish. Some of the things that I would say to anybody wanting to do this, or anybody who's maybe like a manager who wants to get people to do stuff like this, is that your potential local curriculum project needs to light you up in some way. It needs to make you energized. I always say to some of the managers about, you know, they say to me like, oh, we're just going to give this to someone to do in the department. You know, you can't really give a local curriculum project to somebody because it's so relationship built. You have to actually spend that time, that energy, building a relationship if it's going to be last this kind of the time, and doing all those things I've just mentioned about making it reciprocal and everybody getting something out of it. I'm going to showcase some small, medium, and large projects. I'm going to tell you how to use and choose the right partners. Just last week, somebody emailed me saying, oh, do you want to do this thing? And we need some products for some market that we're doing for a fundraiser. And I went through a list of criteria that meant that I wasn't going to engage in that project just because it was quite a one-way street. So just choosing who you partner with is very important. And that show me the money. I always say if they don't have a budget or materials or resources, personally, from my perspective, I don't partner with them because it's going to be a one-way street. And if anybody is a full-time teacher, fully loaded teacher here, you know that your energy and time is very limited. So you don't go past that point. If somebody just messages you and says, oh, can you make us some products for this and that? Or, oh, we've got a fundraiser, we're doing a market. Or, oh, can you some, you know, because you're not working in a school, they don't understand the ecosystem that we are working in. Not their fault, but choose wisely. Choose wisely. We only have, you know, a limited amount of time and energy. So you probably have already, wherever you're hearing this from, some possible links already in your local community. Think about people who've maybe perhaps already reached out. Think about some initial ideas that feel quite fluid, feel quite easy, that maybe you're already doing projects and you can kind of bolt on some beautiful links with the community and that authentic learning. And yeah, and I'm always like, that there's like a quote about like 3, 2, 1, just do it. I'm very much a do it kind of person. I'll think about it for a wee while, but I actually love action. So I would encourage you to actually have an idea and just put out an email or a text or a call, because a lot has happened through me doing exactly that. I have a little sheet that I'm going to share with you, and it doesn't have to look beautiful. I'll show you an example of what that will look like. But I just start off like this usually, like, what is my local curriculum project? And it turns out like that. Now, I know what you're thinking. You should have been a doctor with handwriting like that. I'm left-handed. I can't spell. Don't judge me. But this is a local curriculum project that I did with a rocket stove level 2 mechanical engineering course that I was running. I got it this year. In fact, it's very fresh off the stove. And I saw this amazing project we did, and I thought, oh, we should enhance this with some local curriculum with some partners outside. So some of the connections I wanted to do, you know, the basic plan, I kind of need to get my head around how would I enhance the learning for my students and what outcome would I actually like? And how does that feed back into the assessment? I've actually just marked their work and it has tripled their results this year. So I'm very proud Mother Goose of those little monkeys. You may be thinking, oh, this sounds like a lot of work. Why do I bother? Again, if it doesn't light you up, if it doesn't enthuse you, I love this stuff. Like, I thrive off connections and relationships and serendipity and that warm, fuzzy feeling we're probably all in teaching for when a student really excels. But if that's not enough to kind of put you in that realm, this is just some data. I don't know why I say it like that. I just feel like I should talk like a robot now. I'm telling you I did it. But this is some of the results from when you do local curriculum projects. You can see the results for excellence, which are in yellow, and merits, which are in blue. And you can see the improvement on all of that. This is just we're in a high decile school, we're in decile 10, you can kind of see how that compares. If you drill down a bit more, if you look into a student and how they go across all subjects, and then compare it to the subject that I teach, that I inject local curriculum into, ours is 7 HTK, which is level 2. HTK, Hard Materials Technology, you can see that stands out as a real strength for that student. And I could show you another 100 of those. But I just wanted to show you that one, just to highlight the impact that these small little efforts you're going to make, the high impact that's going to be for the practice. So feel free to start small. Think of a project you already have, something that you've kind of just been making or doing or producing or working that you can easily involve the community in. Think about the connection, think about the relevance and how that's going to enhance learning, just those small changes. So when I first came to this school 3 years ago, I was over at another school for 8 years before that, just across the hill. We made these utensil project, and you know, it was year 7, and it was cool, you know. But then I started putting some more decorative work using hot poker, and then I thought, why are we not testing them with like cookie dough? Like if I was a kid, I would want some cookie dough on a Thursday afternoon, last period. Like I want to do that. So that is exactly what we did. We actually got a local baker to give us some cookie dough, and the kids, depending on their work, they produced, you know, I'd actually a cleaning up task. So the ones who clean up the most get to choose the flavor of their cookie dough. And then the producer gives us these cookie doughs, and then we can actually taste them and use that. And then what we used with the cookie dough afterwards is we made them and gave them back to the local food store, the food bank here, for kind of less fortunate families. So just a little thing you could do to enhance it. With my level or year 10s, this is still a junior project. We made these beautiful trowels using brazing and wood lathing and all the stuff that makes me smile. And then I decided, like, all these, you know, all these kids that I was teaching had younger siblings, and the parents had links to ECE centers, early childhood centers. And then I thought, oh, well, why don't I just give them a call and see if they need some stuff? And it turns out that they were aching for tools that their children could use. So we actually made one for the student, and then they made one and donated it to the ECE center, and actually went into those centers and just saw them working. And we actually had these images up in the classroom as we were working. So they had a real direct link to why they were doing something. Rocket stoves, my new baby this year. Again, food related. I don't know, I'm kind of realizing a bit of a thread there, but it is a bit food related. So these rocket stoves, we usually just made them, prototype, iterations, mark them, kids take them home. And for this one, I thought, well, I wonder if we sort of partnered with a food bank or something here. So the wonderful Bidford decided to give us as much free food as we wanted, so we could actually test this. And then the payback for them was that we would make them some. So we had pancakes, bacon buddy, and sirloin steak. Best lessons ever. So fun. Like the amount of people who just walked past and just wanted to feed, it was, you know, I had to like manage that as well. But that partnership was really great. And also the guy who was in charge of Bidford, he was actually very keen on engineering and was also giving the kids sort of stakeholder feedback on the airflow of the rocket stoves in order to improve them. So super, super great, sort of, again, this kind of wheel of wonderment, as I've just named it, everything feeding in. I took this a little bit further in another project whereby we had a year 13 course, a achievement standard course for year 13 in the materials area, which is quite unusual, but one that I wrote in my last post. And these students were making puzzles with the CNC standard, advanced procedure or complex procedures, and they were using the kids as stakeholders. So we actually went in to the local ECE center and spoke to the students, the little sort of under fives, which were the stakeholders. And then we played with them and the cognitive ability and the enhancement of those children. And that was a 3-4 part visit that the students went back again and again and again. You can see the kids there talking to under 5-year-olds and their mothers on that. It's a little little small things you can bolt on. If you want to do a little bit bigger, you do everything I just said. Was this the connection? Is there relevance? Is it enhancing? And then you get into real authenticity and maybe different learning opportunities, maybe partners that have budgets. So you can say, oh, we really need some materials, or oh, we really need a sponsor for the bus, or whatever it may be. Everyone's different. But this is where this kind of ended up. So again, this one, these are all quite fresh, you know, some of these ones. These aren't just like year projects that I've been doing again and again. This one, I was actually up in Marlborough Tech Centre doing some PD for some wonderful staff up there on local curriculum, actually. And I came across, as you do, Makana chocolates, which are delicious, by the way, in Blenheim. I think I've got Kelly Kelly as well. They've got a branch. Anyway, highly recommend their truffles. But long story short, I was in the shop and I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna have to take out a loan to get these chocolates. And it turned out that I just thought, why not? So I spoke to the woman behind the counter and I said, oh, I wonder if you'd be able to, you know, be interested in doing like a school project. Anyway, she said, no, it's a hygiene thing. We can't possibly. So this is another top tip for you. If you go to somebody and they say, no, we can't possibly, the naysayers, I call them, I go, okay, thank you so much. Can I speak to somebody else? And I spoke to somebody else called Mary Jane. And she was actually leaving that week. And she was like, oh, yeah, here's the boss's number. He's based here. And I was like, this is great. She's like, yeah, I think this is a great idea. And I was like, you're the person I need to speak to. So don't ever be disheartened if you want to do something, you go in and someone goes, oh, no, we can't possibly do that. Don't take it personally. If you're really, you know, lit up by the project, just go for somebody else. Anyway, good old Mary Jane gave me Bevan's number, which I won't share here, but he's a fantastic guy, owner and operator of this confectionery deliciousness. Anyway, I phoned him and I said, listen, this is the project I want to do. I think we should do a packaging thing. You've got really expensive chocolates. Why don't we just do like 1 chocolate or 2 chocolates, and then we do like a, you know, like some kind of individual chocolate packaging project where I get the CNC machine out, I get my construction guys, and we do some design and making. And he was like, this is the most fantastic call I've had. I love this stuff. I don't do it enough. I look at spreadsheets all day. I would love to do that. And I was like, amazing. So I wrote a scheme of work, and the authentic link was that we would send the chocolates back to him to judge. And the reciprocal arrangement was he sent us 364 truffles. They were delightful because the students obviously needed to test the product before we sent it, you know, to get like the real learning. And so we tested them, we made them, we saw how fragile they were. We then did all of the learning around that, sent them back to him. He gave it to himself and his directors, and then they gave us their stakeholder feedback through that process. Through that process, I just all these other things came up. Like we have these beautiful school values at Mount Aspiring College, and then we had Women's International Day, and then it just kind of ballooned that project. We started making their favorite women teacher these beautiful boxes and putting them in their pigeonholes, and there was like, you know, tears of joy. I was one of them, based on this project. So lots of, you know, sort of things, but the fact that I could ask for hundreds of truffle chocolates and they would just get sent, and there's this beautiful relationship built, is, you know, a winner. I've also done stuff with local go-karting. Everybody wants to make go-karts. Anyone who's a construction teacher, everybody wants to make a go-kart. And I couldn't do that because of spacing and material costs, etc., and storage. But I could when I was in a situation where I was at Game Over in Queenstown. They wanted some redesigning of their cart, and I was like, okay, one of those ones where they go, oh, you should do our competition, and you think, okay, well, this is a lot of work for me, and for me, I always say, what's the learning for my students? What do my students get out of this? And that was what I went back to them with, and I was like, okay, well, this is cool. I'm going to make you some amazing designs, but what's going to happen? And they said, oh, well, okay, well, we'll print them and we'll make some go-karts. I was like, amazing. How about we test the go-karts as well? In fact, my whole class would like to test the go-karts. And that's what happened. We went over and we tested them, and we spoke to the mechanics, and we saw how they ran. These girls in particular won that competition. We went over, I actually rode motorbike, so I rode my motorbike, wore my motorbike helmet, and we went over to a radio playing of Eye of the Tiger. It was the best day. So that's another sort of area you could get into. If in that digital space, I'm in technology, and I actually taught across all of the technologies, including electronics, but I've kind of gone on to where I love the most, which is that construction engineering space. But this is one for the digital area that I worked with, where we actually made a website for, I wear many hats in my school, and one of the roles I used to have was head of Duke of Edinburgh, or the Hillary Award, and they have to do volunteering service, and the students were talking to me about how it's really hard to volunteer because they have these different websites, but you have to enter your details, and then they get back to you, and then they maybe blah, 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 blah. And kids just want stuff like right now. So we made a website for exactly that. They basically put in if you're an organization wanting somebody, or if you're a volunteer wanting some hours, and you'd put in what you want, and you would instantly get reams of contacts and their names of the person you want to call that would fit your criteria. It was a fantastic idea. It's a website that's running, and that's really really sort of worthwhile, high impact. And those are the three 15-year-old girls that created it. So yeah, pretty proud of that one. Not everything works though. Not everything works. For instance, I had a organization. It was part of a sanctuary in the local area, and they said, "Oh, we want you to make something for animals to, like, with fur or smell, so they get attracted to the traps, and they come in, and then they get go up to the land of the clouds." So I was like, "Oh yeah, cool. This feels like a good idea. I feel like this is something that has legs. It feels like it's energizing my heart. It feels light in my stomach, and I think it's gonna this is a real great potential." But as partners, they were actually quite hard to deal with. They, were quite short notice. They'd give me emails in the morning wanting to meet up at 2 o'clock. And if you're a teacher, like, I don't know about you, but I had about 8 minutes to eat my lunch, and got stopped by 20 people on the way to that lunch. And so they didn't quite understand that. And they were it didn't flow. It wasn't something that was easy enough for a teacher to sustain. And if you ever feel like that, then listen to that gut, do what you can, and then move on. So though I'm just telling you some projects, I don't want to tell you about all these amazing things. Oh, look at this amazing thing and that amazing thing, this amazing story. It's actually some things you go, "Oh, this is amazing," and actually like, "Oh, this actually feels like a grind now. I don't think I want to do this, but I've committed, so I'll do it for a bit, and then I'm never going back to it." And that was one of these projects whereby, the materials were last minute. There was a lot of expectation on their part. And I tapped out, like in jiu-jitsu. Not that I do jiu-jitsu, but my daughter does. There's another fun fact for you. This one's a little baby I picked up as well when I came over here, a gear stick project. Oh, I saw this project and I thought, this is cool, but it could be cooler. I'm going to make it cooler. So they made this amazing gear stick. This is a unit standard. This is level 1 mechanical engineering. Everybody who's a mechanical engineering teacher who's a little bit older than me goes, "Oh, the gear stick." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I love the gear stick." And they're like, "What?" So these guys make this 13-piece lathed acrylic, can be in brass or aluminium or steel, gear stick. That's the kind of brief. And I was like, "Why are we putting in our cars? Like, kids love cars. Let's put it in our cars. Like, it's not going to pass the WAF, but let's just like try it." And then I'm in Central Otago, and I thought, hang on a minute, that international amazing rally car driver who seems like the nicest person, his parents have got a winery up the road. Surely if I just write him a little email, maybe he can take part in this project and maybe be one of our stakeholders. And he is the loveliest guy, Hayden Padden. Honestly, Hayden, if you're there, like, I actually dropped off a couple of boxes of beers to your mechanics, but you're never there because you're always winning championships everywhere. But he came on board on that project and was like, "I would love to help out. I would love to be a stakeholder. I'll give you my Hayden Padden's choice," as I made up on the spot to call it. So we did that. And then I thought, and actually this is Hayden's idea because he's such a nice guy. I honestly am not commissioned to say this, the pattern group. He was like, oh, we could just, show them around Highlands, we show them around the garages. Actually, like, maybe even like give one of them like, like a tour around Highlands. So every year now he has a Hayden Patterns choice, and he actually takes his Hayden Patterns choice one round. The kids are just like super doing the work for him, don't care about me and my marking, don't give a monkeys anymore. They're just all about who's Hayden's going to choose. And Hayden takes them around Highlands on a couple of laps, going faster than they would ever be allowed to go. Just some burnouts I heard last time. I'm not sure if I should say that out loud, but anyway, whatever. Kids just love it. And that happens every year now, which is fantastic. That was my kind of first year running it. And then as I kind of get nestled in the community, I'm kind of seeing things and smelling things and looking out for things like a little hawk. And there was a fantastic engineer shop around here, workshop, in fact. A lot of water jet cutting, state-of-the-art stuff. Amazing guy who runs it, called Elliot, American guy. And he has Y Innovations. And I just happened upon him one day. I think one of the teachers was his neighbor, that kind of stuff. Those links that you're kind of like looking out for. And he was like, you should bring the kids to my workshop. And I was thinking, okay, that's cool, but what are you going to do with them? And this is him on the right-hand side there, showing them the amazing facilities they have with the CNC machines. So that like ingrained learning. And we actually had all of their staff talk to our students about what they did and how they got there. So that was a really authentic project as well, which I love. This was a cool project, which I thought was going to be rubbish. And then it turned out to be great, which is like my best ones. This was one that we were approached from Doc to, oh, can you make us hundreds of traps? And I'm like, yeah, I got work to do, guys. I got assessments. I got people breathing down my neck for like KMAR entries. But they said, oh, we really, really want some Doc traps. We'll give them to various people. The quality isn't good. And I knew we could do it. But I was like, well, okay, well, if you pay for all the materials, so I don't have to use the budget, then we'll talk. And that's exactly what happened. So we made these amazing traps. They were for level 2. They gave us all of the materials, and we just had to design, make, and fit it into that level 2 prototyping standard. And it was used for the TKI actually as an exemplar, and there's lots of resources on there. So that was a great one. We also did this rocket stove that I talked about earlier, and I kind of injected that this year with the MOTAP Solve for Tomorrow competition, which is award ceremonies tomorrow. I can't tell you anything about that, and I'm not going to because it's confidential. But I always am looking for ways to authenticate a project, and I did that this year. I'm not saying any more about that, but I'm smiling. Now, as a New Zealand European, Pakeha white chick, I am scared of messing up when it comes to anything Māori related. And being Miss Hembrow, I thought, well, you can't let that stop you. You got to just take the bull by the horns. So again, I thought, well, I'm shying away from this subject matter. Why am I shying away from Māori carving? And it's because there's so many, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to offend anyone. I'm just like, oh my God, I just want to do the right thing. We're real compliant as teachers, So I thought, well, this isn't good enough. I'm never going to go anywhere. I'm never going to challenge myself. I'm never going to expose the kids to this. And I thought, okay, well, I'll just be the guinea pig of life for this. And so I was talking to actually a young man in my last school, and he was talking about his dad being a carver. Anyway, it ended up being the most amazing guy called Steve Solomon. I hope it doesn't mind me mentioning his name. He's in this picture here. And I gave him a call in a break time on the way to somewhere, probably like a duty. I should have been out 10 minutes earlier. Don't kill me. And I was like, oh, listen, just, I'm a bit nervous. I'm trying to make this project. Do you reckon you could like give me a little bit of guidance? I don't want too much of your time, and I'll take you out for some kai, and would be, like, is there any chance? And he was so accommodating. He was like, of course, I would love to. I've got work around the school. It's really easy to access. We can do it in timetable lessons. Yeah, let's make a plan. So that's what I did. This is Steve showing some of his work in just across the way in Queenstown, speaking to the kids about that work and how it was done. It turned out that another parent was also an artist and did carving using CNC machine, but very different. So I just gave the students some work around that. I've mentioned I like bikes, and my friend has really cool bikes, and he looks really cool, and he's quite intimidating. He's not teaching at all. In fact, when he walked into reception, he got a few looks from senior management, and I was told, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. I was told that he couldn't be left alone in the building, and I was like, oh gosh. But he did come in a singlet, so I was like, what are you doing to me? Come on. Anyway, he brought this bike in, which the kids loved. And the premise of that whole local curriculum project with Maori carving is he actually had not the best start to life. And he was quite an intimidating figure, and he had a cool bike, you know, so he rolled in with his bike, and he spoke to the kids about his upbringing and his story. And why he was doing that, you can see those two whiteboards either side of him. I was illustrating his story, because the whole premise of that was looking at themselves, their journey, their whakapapa, and actually putting that into an illustration, a visual to represent themselves. And so while he was doing his talk, and he was saying about how actually he never really listened at school. He's actually not the best literacy numeracy. He loved rugby. I was doing all these illustrations to demonstrate, and then the students did exactly that. They went and they did their, looked at their own journey, their whakapapa, where they came from, spoke to their family, their iwi, their community, and actually started doing their own work based on that carving. And you can see some of their planning and their trialing here. This was year 9s. And then some of the work around that. I engaged with the kaumātua of the area, who's an amazing guy, Darren Riwi, who was really wonderful. And also there's a couple of other real key stakeholders in there that made me feel super comfortable, and I could be really vulnerable. And I knew that I had their kind of protection, you know, and they had my back because they knew I was just trying to get some great work out there and have that respect for the culture at the same time. And that's a journey I'm still doing and still nervous about and still vulnerable, and just really committed to making that a lifelong journey for me. So yeah, that was Māori carving. But the all-in-one, this is the title of the webinar, my first webinar. So this is the big Luma one. So you kind of do these projects, and some of these projects I've told you about, in 10 years' time, they may be as big as this, you know, depending on the way you want to take it. But this one was Luma Light Festival. I think we had 60,000 visitors this year over the King's birthday weekend. Used to be the Queen, going with the soul, but now it's the King's birthday weekend. It's 4 nights, and it started off whereby we had a guy said to me, "Oh, we're doing this light festival. Do you fancy doing some work for us?" And I was like, oh my God, I've just started a new school. You must be kidding me. But because they were so entrepreneurial and creative and yes people, I said no at the time. Actually, it was a parent teacher interview. I was like, this, and I'm at capacity. And it just played on me. It just played on my mind, and it just felt light, and I felt excited thinking about it. And I thought, let's just do it. So this Luma Light Festival is an international light exhibition. There is emerging artists, international artists like Angus Muir, based up in Auckland, who takes his work all around the world. And there's a schools program area for it, which is what I lead. When I say I lead it, it's basically just me. It's me and a little sparky called Simon, who's the loveliest guy in the world, who's the install team. And we just do our best, and it turns out to be quite cool. If you want any details about it, have a wee look. You go to schools program, you'll see some of the stuff. But it started off with one school, my school, one class, my class, and about 30 students. And the one we've just done was 3,000 students, 15 schools, and a 10-week STEAM project. We put the arts in there as well for the STEAM. We have done team teaching in primary schools. I had a sabbatical back in 2019 where I had 10 weeks off with a award, so I could actually go into lots of schools and help them out. But this is where we actually get all this collaboration between the teachers, the students, the setup install team. We take kids on site to put up the work. I go into classes and team teach with the teachers. We give the schools materials that they would never have access to, some of which are on my wall. Actually, I will just take some stuff down and give you a little sneak peek of what's coming up for next year. But that's kind of how it started, with someone saying, oh, do you want to be involved? And me feeling how it sits in me and how much energy I had for it. So we start off with a concept, and that's all student led. So it changes every single year. I really love the fact that the students choose the theme. They usually use 3 themes, and then my job is my volunteer job, I may add, and it's a 9-month volunteer contract, is that I then take that concept and I'll go to the directors, none of which are education based, and I'll say, these are the concepts, what do you think? And they go, oh, that one feels really good, do some more stuff on that. So I will then take it back to my cohort of students on the school I'm with. I'm at Mount Aspiring College, very lucky to be here, awesome school. And I'll take it to my students and I'll say, okay, they want us to run with this one. How many ideas can we think about on this? What do you reckon? And they will create a brief for the rest of the schools around, well, around New Zealand now. It used to be regional, but now it's kind of gone bigger than I can keep track of. So we get that. And then I check in with the who wants to do it, basically, you know. So this is a national thing that I do. I obviously have a network around here. This year we have 21 schools doing it. I've just done an Inspire conference up in Nelson, and we had 8 schools doing it up there as well, which is fantastic. So we can go to all schools, but the thing I love about it is I'm a teacher. I know the pressures. I feel the pressures every single day. And I've been doing it for a while. So I make this as easy as for the teacher to say yes to as possible. We all get those emails. Oh, can you do this? Oh, can you do that? And I go, okay, if I were them, how would I want to be approached? So there is quite a lot of chocolate and wine goes out to say thank you. So if you want a Pinot Noir from Otago, let me know. If you want to sign up for Luma. And I ask them, I say, this is the project. You can run it over a day, a week, or a term, because everyone's got different pressures. I give it to them in a timely manner. So I've already spoke about May, which is when the exhibition is, end of May, King's birthday, beginning of June. We've already done the theme in July. And then I trial it with my classes. And then I've done this like a funding guru. And then I get funding for the packs to send out to schools. So schools don't pay for anything. They just say how many students they want. And I basically make it happen. And we then give them the scheme of work, all of the resources, and I then deliver it to them. I'm actually, as I'm saying this, don't know how I do it, but I just kind of fit it in around other stuff, you know. And I then keep tabs of what they're doing, if they need any help, if they need any support, and then I pick it up. That's where the wine and chocolate comes in to say thanks so much. Give them some free tickets to Luma, and then we display the work. When I say we display the work, I take it away. The install team get it. We love to get school students involved. I know I'm a teacher about the ETOC forms or the SOPS forms and all this stuff you need to do. But I do like doing that because I love the kids' faces when they're actually on a building site, when they're making an international like Luma exhibition. So we do that, and then they see their work in front of 60,000 people. And I love it when you actually, you know, a lot of my students go, oh my God, I saw my work up. And I was like, yeah, I told you that for like 8 months, you're going to get your work up. But a lot of them hang out and hear what the community are saying about their work. And it just, I mean, you can't buy that stuff. You know? So this is me kind of going around those schools, as I said, and making those concepts, team teaching with those teachers, giving them, especially the primary school teachers, super happy to, you know, as a technology teacher, come in and help. I'm super, super privileged. I've actually got a teaching study award next year. So that actually allows me a lot more flexibility next year. And I'm also supporting teachers with a remote, what is it called? It's like a remote regional lead. So if anybody needs PD in this area, there is funding. So I can actually come and help you out with stuff. And it actually pays. I've only heard about this year. They pay for like the relief for you and for the school. So there's no excuses for schools to say, oh, you know, we can't really afford it PD budget. Yeah, all of that is sorted out, which is pretty awesome. These are some of the directors. I show these to the kids because the kids just think I kind of make up a lot of stories. I must just have like a making up story face. But I get the directors to look at the work and I document it. And then I give it back to the kids going, oh, this is your work they were looking at. And they're like, whoa, I've recorded the directors talking about the work. The directors have made post-it notes and given them back to the kids in the past. It's a real reciprocal, ongoing, juicy, authentic local curriculum project. But it has taken a while to do it, obviously. This was the one project, the one before the last one, actually. So this is a couple of years ago. There's some EL wire being made in their studios over in Queenstown. And again, that's accessible for school groups. They can actually see what goes into a light festival. And this is, I think it's 7 of these are 1.2 meters high, made of EL wire, suspended 5 meters in the air on a steel frame. Astonishing, you know. That's a 9-month project though, to make it so authentic. I do a lot of this. There's my car, I bought this new car and it's wrecked with all these steel sculptures banging around. It's like sliced all the top of my car, but you know what? I do it again because of the learning the kids get out of this and the opportunity the kids get out of it. And that was some steel sculpture kind of moving kinesthetic work we did. It's always different. We have got some, which I loved actually, getting in some of the disability groups and some of the alternate education groups as well. We started to kind of, just because it's kind of, people have asked me, and as it grows, more people ask me about stuff. And, you know, I'm a yes person, so I just try and make stuff work. But this was one of the ones that was selected for her sculpture. And again, you know, I just went into an engineering shop, box of spates. Can you weld this for me? Yeah. And there he is, welding away. This year, excited. I'm actually going to get this off the wall just because this is, I don't even know how to tell you about this, but probably just my mum's listening in, so you're all right. This is moths, Luma moths. What could be more suiting? But we are doing with recycled materials, so much goes into landfill, it makes my heart sad. So we are doing, I've got so much dirty, like old material by my desk. I don't even want to show you. It's a bit gross. There's probably some ecosystems living in there. But anyway, we are doing moss as the template. I'm using materials that are recyclable. So this, I hope you're sitting down, it's going to blow you away. This is made, oh, my little face fits in there. This is made from, you know, like weird corrugated, like annoying, like pipey plastic stuff for like, I don't know what it was called, like real estates put them up on like for the selling your house. This is that stuff, just like weird stuff. But it makes the most beautiful moths. Look at this. I know it's probably all just fainted with beauty, but this is what we're going to be doing. And these are, oh, I'm just going to get you another one because I'm just so proud. These are UV reactive. So these threads here, when you shine a light on them, as that sort of screen I'm showing you there, when you shine a light on them, they will be UV reactive. All the templates are laser cut. Thanks for TENS. You've actually sponsored some education packs, so I really appreciate that. It means that lots more students and lots more teachers have been able to get involved. So my funding hat on and support, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And so do all the students and those teachers. And then this is, UV thread. And the display itself will look something like, it always changes, but at the moment, something like that. Some kind of walkway with these beautiful moths, UV lit, taking you around the gardens. That's the vision-ish at the moment. And that's kind of Luma in a nutshell. It's always evolving. It's always changing. And that's why I love it, because it keeps it fresh. I've got great relationships with the guys, you know, the directors who we've worked with for a decade. I've got great relationships with the schools. They're always growing. I always want to say yes. Just, you know, teachers who want to get involved. I don't know of any other local curriculum project that is gives you exposure to 60,000 visitors, authentic, and gives you delivered materials and resources you can just pick up and take to a class. And I think that's because a teacher who's actually like running around like a headless chicken, just kind of, you know, just kind of doing what I can, is in the space of creating the resources. So I feel like I've told a lot of dad jokes. You should imagine my classes. I mean, you've just got like an hour of this. They've got like a year of me most of the time. But I'm hoping that's been inspirational in some way. Hopefully that's been an area of kind of questioning maybe for your own practice. Hopefully that shows you some things that have gone wrong and some things that have gone right. Hopefully it shows you that it's not just like some wow project that, oh my God, it's amazing. It just like slipped, it just like happened. It's like, no, that was a bit of an iteration of 10 years. And I always love to tell people about the stuff that kind of didn't go so well as well, just because you will get those stumbling points. And it's really up to you if you want to kind of continue with it or not. But I think the key thing is to have a real sort of energizing sort of aura, I was going to say, you know, just to kind of fulfill those projects. And for senior management, so if you've got people in your department, you're like, oh, someone needs to do local curriculum, you do it. It's not going to really work. You need someone who actually wants to do it, because you're asking them to go out into the community and build relationships, and the community is then going to be reflected back into what that person's doing. So you need to have someone who puts their hand up, not that you shoulder tap. Because I've seen that happen in other schools. When I leave schools, it happens. They go, oh, you got to do what Bex did. And everyone's like, this gives me anxiety. I don't want to do it, you know. And I think though, finding those people who have that love for it and it energizes them, that's their values. That's what, you know, that's real kind of the stuff that like lightens them up. I keep saying it, but that's the only way I know to express it. That would be kind of my advice for anybody wanting to sort of just dip their toe into this realm. And I hope you do, because it is, I think, very rewarding. So that's a little bit about what we just went over, like what's the idea, what's the possible links. People probably already reached out. Who could help with funding? If things feel like it's too like, oh man, this feels like, you know, pushing mud uphill, then actually I'm all about listening to the universe and going, actually, maybe this isn't the right one. Maybe this isn't the right person. Maybe this is not the right project. Because this is, you know, a lot of it is above and beyond what you would usually kind of be doing. So that's my ramble, which seems to have gone like that. But that's my ramble about local curriculum, which I hope has been helpful.
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. I am so glad that I needed to host this webinar.
You
I
have to
am
say
so,
that.
so glad.
Thanks.
No, actually, I'm a great believer in the truth. And I am
Yes,
a
yeah,
rambler of old. I
yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed that. You had me laughing out loud.
Oh, good.
Um, there were a couple of groans because, yes, you did share a couple of dad jokes.
Oh, yeah, I love
But it's really, really so valuable just to hear concrete advice
it.
from practitioners who are working, who are working their butt off to make those connections and make the learning authentic for our tamariki. But yeah, I, I'm not even sure where to start. I started having questions. I did notice in our chat we have some very quiet and polite lurkers who haven't asked any questions yet. So I will open it up. You're welcome to drop questions into the chat. I mean, I know I took notes. I'm not very good with names. So chocolate, any chocolate connections, that truffle
Honestly,
project sounded awesome.
so good. It's so good. And it's so good. It was just so good for that authenticness. And it was literally it was actually a really good learning for me, because when I went into that shop, it was very much nah, we can't help you. It's a hygiene thing. Nah, nah, nah. And I was like, who else can I talk to? And
Yeah.
just having that tenaciousness to, if you have an idea and you feel like it's going to work, don't let the first person put you off, because
And that was very helpful advice as well, because I'm pretty sure we've all heard a no. And so it's just figuring out how to respond best to that no. I know we've got an Innovate and Educate that we're actually in the process of organising at the moment that might be helpful or aligned-ish with what we're talking about today. So I will let you know about that one and our listeners. That's going to be talking about workshops and health and safety, because there is a lot of compliance stuff that could be simplified.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, keep me in the loop with that. So part of my study
yeah.
award next year is actually to complete a level 7 health and safety, occupational health and safety course, and actually make it
Ah,
easier for the workshop teachers to do
yeah.
cool projects, to like stop restricting and actually start enabling. So I'll be making
Yeah.
a series, just make it real simple and effective, and actually give us some resources to use rather than telling us everything that we should have already. I'm a
Mm-mm-mm.
big believer in that. So keep me in the loop with that, because this time next year, my middle name is going to be health and safety.
Oh, that sounds like a lovely middle name to have.
Yeah, it's actually Zoe Amanda at the moment. So, it's still two. It's a little bit.
And I think I do have. So if school is interested in signing up for Luma, they just need to go to the website to sign up, right?
They actually go through me, basically. So if you want to get
Mm.
me, the easiest one is my school email, which is Hembrow R, HEM for Mike, BROWR at MT Mount aspiring.school.nz. So I have like a worksheet
Cool.
of everybody who's doing it, and it's quite a large, extensive one. How many students they're doing, where they are. I know a lot of them already. And then I basically term 4, I will go out and I'll deliver the resources, and I'll let them the magic
Mm-mm.
happen. I'll be on call if they need any help. And then they can either do it term 4 or term 1 next year. Term 1,
Yeah.
I can have a bit more flexibility, so I can go and team teach with them because I'm off classroom timetabled lessons because of the study sabbatical next
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there, it's all, this is when I say about, I'm not a hippie or anything, but I always think like when things are meant to be, they're meant to be. So
Yeah.
if there are people wanting some help and they're like, I don't know what this chick's talking about, but I feel like it's quite energizing, then reach out, let me know what you want to do, and we can see if we can make stuff happen. And I'm pretty sure when we put our minds to it, we can make pretty much anything we put our minds to happen.
Cool. Cool. And I know I'm probably going to want to talk to you afterwards as well about um, te marautango Aotearoa, and
Mm.
um, if they're not developed already, I'd be interested in supporting
Yeah,
development of resources for our Māori medium contexts.
I would love that. I would love that. Let's have a chat
Yeah.
afterwards. Sure.
Okay. And something I forgot to warn you about before, saying this is your first webinar. I
Yeah.
wouldn't believe it unless you told me.
Oh, thanks.
Um, really, really wouldn't. Is that it will cut off quite abruptly, right? Straight after the karakia.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
normal and fine. And if you want to debrief with me, just
Okay.
feel free to drop me a line or
Okay,
um,
cool.
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And so now I'm going to ask the lovely Caitlin to share screen. And for our attendees, feedback is, I mean, it's teachers' bread and butter. Ideas are our currency, but feedback is our bread and butter to get the next steps going. So let us know how it went, and let us know what really worked for you, and then we'll be able to get even betterer.
Good.
All right, betterer. That is my word for it. All right. Next month we have Puhoro,
Mm,
who are a wonderful group.
mm.
They argue that you don't need to incorporate Mātauranga Māori because that could be a starting point. And they're working in schools across the country. They've got regional offices. So that's next month, Wednesday 23rd. We'll close with karakia now. And despite being an awful time managed person, it seems like we're going to finish on time.
Ooh.
Um, so thank you so much, Rebecca. I loved every second, and please do contact me. I have the memory of a much older person, so I may forget to contact you.
Okay,
Okay.
done. I'll do that
Okay.
probably tomorrow morning, if that's okay.
Cool. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay. Me karakia tātou. kia mātou katoa, kua mutu mātou ia mātou mahi, ia mātou kaupapa hoki. Arahina mātou, kia kawe mātou ia mātou haipapa, kia whakatapua mātou ki ngā kaupapa me ngā mea e whakapono. Manaaki tia mai mātou.